Well, good morning on this lovely but very much fall day outside on our deck. And today we're going to be looking at Proverbs 31. And the end of the chapter is a wonderful description of what a godly woman and a godly wife is like. And I have an article by a woman by the name of Adrienne. What is her name? By Adrienne Siegel, who works with Desiring God Ministries. That's a group that grew out of Bethlehem Baptist Church in downtown Minneapolis, and they have produced many wonderful, edifying teachings from the Bible. But this morning, let me read Proverbs 31, and then I'll share that article written by the woman, Adrienne, about the godly woman of Proverbs 31. The sayings of King Lemuel, an inspired utterance his mother taught him. Listen, my son, listen, son of my womb. Listen, my son, the answer to my prayers. Did not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. It is not for kings, Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, not for rulers to crave beer, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed and deprive all the oppressed of their rights. Let beer be for those who are perishing, wine for those who are in anguish. Let them drink and forget their poverty and remember their misery no more. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. And then this section, epilogue, the wife of noble character. A wife of noble character who can find. She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night, and she provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hand to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. Her son can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is in her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting. But a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done. and let her works bring praise. And let her works bring her praise at the city gate. The end of Proverbs 31. But the reflections of Adrian Siegel on Proverbs 31 and that wonderful godly woman and wife that is described there. When we look to God's word to find guidance about how to be the best wife and mother we can be, we simply cannot escape Proverbs 31. Who wouldn't want to be as talented, productive, strong, caring, and fearless as this woman? But as normal human beings, many of us are more likely to cringe when this seemingly perfect woman is set before us as an example. Who can find her indeed? Not everyone has good business sense or opportunities. Many do not have the gifts and creativity to make clothes for the family and household. I don't know if I've met anyone who is both a morning person and a night person like this woman. If the Proverbs 31 woman only stirs in us guilt that even on our best day we lack the ability to meet the standard of our calling, what help is she to women striving to honor God? What did she do? God never urges us to feel guilty for not having gifts we've not been given or not doing good we're physically unable to do. So if the Proverbs 31 woman only makes us feel guilty or inadequate, we're likely not understanding her in the way God designed. Part of the confusion might be the present tense verbs in our translation. One Old Testament scholar notes that the verbs in Proverbs 31 are past tense. Present tense might suggest that one woman does all of these things in one season of her life. But the reading of Jason DeRoshi indicates that these verses are summarizing a fruitful life of a woman over many productive years, highlighting faithful things she did at various times throughout her life. If he's right, it causes me to breathe a huge sigh of relief as I reflect over my past efforts and as I strive to be a godly woman today. The woman behind the woman. But however we translate the verbs, we miss what Proverbs 31, the woman of Proverbs 31 says to women today, if we only look at what she does. She will only inspire guilt and shame if we study the passage for a laundry list of to-dos rather than for the spirit and motivation that drives her. We find several clues to what guides her heart of wisdom in this passage. But the most important motivation, the one that guides everything she does, is mentioned at the end. We should read the whole chapter, every verb, in light of one verb in verse 10. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. This woman fears the Lord. In fact, the verse says this is the reason she is to be praised. The Proverbs 34 woman fears the Lord. In other words, she sees the wisdom in wanting to obey what God tells her to do and to honor the Lord with her whole life. And what is the fear of the Lord in Proverbs? It is the beginning of wisdom. It is her heart for honoring the Lord with her life and thus living with true wisdom that God wants women to imitate and follow. When you go back and read through all of what she does in light of verse 30, you begin to feel the spirit of this woman. Trustworthy. A woman who fears the Lord wants to love and honor her husband. Clearly, the Proverbs 31 woman's husband affirms her efforts because It says his heart trusts her in Proverbs 31:11. He trusts her not just generally, but in the deepest places of himself. And his trust is well placed because verse 12 says she does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She doesn't just do him good on occasion, but every day, implying even and especially when she may feel she has reason to be angry or upset with him. It is important to her that her husband trusts her. She wants him to be able to confide in her and know she will keep his counsel. She wants to guard his honor and does not speak unfavorably of him before others. Clearly, he can depend on her to keep commitments she makes to him. She consistently manages the home in a way that he feels secure in trusting it to her. Does your husband trust you? Do you try to conduct your life privately and publicly to give him every reason to trust you? Do you speak well of him always? We do not need to have special gifts to be trustworthy. We simply need to value our husbands in a way that honors them and the Lord. Hardworking. There's no arguing that the Proverbs 31 woman works hard. This woman has many gifts and does many things, but the point of this passage is not to admonish every woman to do everything she does. The point is that we need to be willing to work hard at what God is calling us to do, and that it pleases God when we desire to do our labor exceedingly as we can. Not exceedingly, excuse me. It pleases God when we desire to do our labor as excellently as we can. This woman does not have time to compare herself to others. She clearly is not obsessed with me time. She does not eat the bread of idleness, Proverbs 31:27. She is not a chronic time waster. Rather, she fills her time with productive, helpful activity. There is no indication she complains or murmurs about her responsibilities. She is concerned with serving her family and others, and she brings a spirit of open-handed willingness to this work. With God's help, we are all able to work hard, resist wasting time, and bring a willing and gracious spirit to the things we do. Strong. Verse 17 says, she dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. Physical strength, taking care of the temple of her body is a priority. Her workout never involved a gym, but she was up and moving, eating right, and tackling physically demanding tasks. Any physical strength, and physical strength isn't the only kind of strength mentioned. She's not afraid of the weather, Proverbs 31:21, or apparently much else. Strength and dignity are her clothing, Proverbs 31:25. She is strong in wisdom, Proverbs 31:26. She is not a worrier. In fact, she laughs at the future, Proverbs 31:25. You do not get the impression she gives much thought to what others think about her at all. A woman who trusts the Lord is finally free to be truly strong. She isn't worrying about things over which she has no control. She trusts God to help and care for her and her family in all the ways that she cannot. Then she works to do the things she can. It is a loving God who is sovereign over her family's future. Her part is to live, work, and love in a way that honors God. He is responsible for the rest. and his Son, has covered her many shortcomings with his own blood. Kind and caring. Verse 26 says, the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. We see evidence of the ways she lives this truth when she daily does her husband good. Proverbs 31:12. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Proverbs 31:28. And she opens her hand to the poor and needy. Proverbs 31:20. To those around us delight in our kind and caring spirit. We can all, with God's help, work to have kind dealings with the people God places in our lives. We can all make it a point to devote some of our time, talent, and gifts to helping those less fortunate. Fear her Lord. The woman extolled in Proverbs 31 does not present an impossible standard. She presents a godly standard, what we would call Christ-like today. These verses should inspire us to desire her fear of the Lord, her dedication to earning the trust of her husband, her work ethic, and her strength and kindness. Her heart, mind, and body are strengthened by her devotion to the Lord for the family and work he has entrusted to her care. As we follow her example, the kind of life that flows from her faith, we will be blessed and be a blessing to others. A marvelous description, not only of a godly woman, but of all those who would seek to honor God by the life they live, man or woman or child. I trust God would bless your heart this morning from the time we've spent in Proverbs 31. And Lord willing, I'll see you in church on Sunday or Bible studies this coming Thursday. I am thankful for our St. John's family. And last Wednesday, when I came to church for confirmation, sitting on the table in the overflow room was a gigantic fruit basket or gift basket, whatever you want to call it. And it was for Bob Taylor, Mary Taylor, and all the Taylors that reside at 5657 Radford Avenue Northeast in Otsego. And when I called home to tell Mary that there was a lovely gift waiting for me when I got to church, she told the rest of the kids, told the rest of our family. And both Keith and Nick made a point to call me on the way home and say, gee, Dad, we'll help you carry in that basket of fruit. And so they did. They kind of met me in the garage, and they carried the basket in and tore into it. So anyway, Mary and I are truly blessed to be the pastor of St. John's Church, the Biskie Church. And we are blessed to serve you. Talk to you later.